Excuse me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sebastian Planning and Zoning Commission / Local Planning Agency. Today is Thursday, October 6, 2022. Call to order. Please rise. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Ms. Graham, roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Lucier.
Here.
Ms. Cottenberg. Here. Mr. Carter.
Present.
Ms. Jordan. Here. Ms. Battles.
Here.
Ms. Kinchin. Here. And Mr. Alvarez.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we're going to have a couple of announcements this evening. Mr. Simmons will be excused from tonight's meeting, and Ms. Jordan will be voting in his place. And also, it has been noted that Mr. Cristino and Ms. Jordan have submitted their resignation from their commission. So tonight, Ms. Jordan is her last meeting, and we are very grateful for their service and wish them well in their future endeavors. Thank you very much. Okay, next item. Any other agenda modifications? Seeing none. Approval of minutes. Commissioners, do we have any?
Make a motion to approve.
Any opposed? Okay. Approval of minutes pass. All right, this evening we have, okay, a quasi-judicial meeting. And we're going to have, an attorney, can you read the ordinance, please,
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is a quasi-judicial public hearing, site plan modification, Taco Mobile Restaurant, small building addition, additional parking out and outside seating areas. 825 Sebastian Boulevard, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, block 188, Sebastian Highland, Unit 6, C12, open paren commercial, CR 512, close paren zoning district. Nothing further.
Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any commissioners, any ex parte pertaining to this property that we need to? Okay, seeing none? Great. Okay, Mr. Attorney, can you please swear in, I guess, anyone that's going to?
Do you will affirm for a subject for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of October 6th?
Thank you very much.
What is this sworn?
Sir, could you please present your work here, what you're planning on?
My name's Todd Smith. I'm the design engineer for the project. Part of this project has been back before this board a couple years ago when the owner had purchased lots. Well, you had lot 1, 2, and 3, and the board approved for a parking lot expansion. And since then, he has purchased an additional lot, and so we've incorporated that into the project with a couple new twists to the plans. So what is kind of new between then and now, we're proposing a freezer to be put on the property. We are proposing, as staff said, an outside open pergola for outdoor sitting, and we have designed the parking to accommodate for that sitting as well as the number of seats in the restaurant. And we're also hooking the project up on the county sewer system. So those are basically the new things that weren't incorporated with the last site plan. And typical of all projects, we've worked with staff to meet the landscaping requirements, and we've modified the drainage system from what we did a couple years ago to bring in the new 40-foot lot, and a little bit of a twist to the parking lot design, a little more land, so we got a little bit more parking spaces. And I'm basically here to answer any technical questions any of the board members may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Staff? We
Yes,
have findings?
as with all of our quasi-judicial hearings, we'd like to enter the staff report and the plan submitted to you as part of the record. Mr. Smith kind of went over some of the new things that you'll see on this site plan that was a little bit different from the 2019 plan that was before you. After that was approved, they did go ahead and pull their land clearing permit. All of their environmental data that we needed and information had been received. Their St. John's permit, the 10-2, so we did issue that land clearing permit. It was right as COVID started, so things were a little slow with that, and then during that time, the applicant was able to acquire that fourth lot, and they kind of started over with this plan. If you remember from that plan phase 2 was 141 square foot kitchen addition, and at that time we did not have building elevations or a floor plan for that. That was a condition of approval. With this site plan, you will see that those elevations of all 4 sides and a floor plan has been provided, and of course it will match the color of the existing building and roofing materials. Some of the things from the staff report, this is because this lot 1 where the original, where the building is existing, was a site plan from 1996. Because they're not adding another building with this project, we are comfortable stating that the existing site plan with the landscaping for that lot 1 has to meet that 1996 plan, but all of the additional parking areas and all of those areas have to meet the current codes for stormwater and landscaping, sizes of parking lot. Not that that has changed a lot over the years, but that does meet the current code, the 1996 for that lot 1. It is being modified a little bit, but with regards to landscaping, it pretty much met the code at that time, and they will be required to replace that at the final, before CO. Building coverage, open areas, open space, impervious area meets code, not even close to the maximum or minimums. The original site plan required 8 spaces. The new site plan has 34 spaces. Unfortunately, one of the things we also needed to get into compliance was there was an outside seating area on the west side of the building that wasn't on an original site plan. So similar to all of our commercial site plans with their outside seating, we wanted them to come into compliance with parking. This new site plan does bring that that outside seating on the west side that has been removed until this plan gets approved and constructed. And then they're also adding a back area with a pergola, kind of covered outside seating with an entrance, a rear entrance into the restaurant. Parking for those outside seating areas have been included. 22 spaces is required. They are going to be providing 34 spaces. In the staff report, some of our items were highlighted. We just pointed those out, that those were discussions and comments in our staff report, and the ones that are highlighted also became a recommended condition of approval, which I will go over when we make our recommendation. One of the items is there is a split rail fence that is shown partially around the stormwater pond. It's only a 2-foot type of stormwater pond. We just wanted a dry retention. We wanted to make sure, because the restaurant is busy, there are a lot of vehicles there, we wanted to make sure nobody used that area for parking, so we required a split rail fence to be around that. On the plan that you have, it's only partial on that north and west side. We're just requiring that the entire north and west side extend that split rail fence so that it's adjacent to all of the parking areas. Also, there is the original 2019 plan, there was some easements that needed to be abandoned. The applicant did do that through City Council, but now that we've added this extra lot, there are 2 more easements that need to be abandoned. So that's we'll need that also before we can issue a certificate of completion for this project. The site is adjacent to residential on the back side of the alley. There is an existing fence on lot 1. But the remaining lots 2, 3, and 4 are also required to have an opaque buffer, 5 to 6 feet in height, opaque at planting or at initialization. They have 2 options. They can extend that 6-foot wooden fence across the rest of the lots, or as shown on the landscape plan, they did provide some hedging, but only at, I think, 24 inches. They can certainly raise those materials to 5 or 6. Either one of those options will be in compliance with that opaque buffering being adjacent to the residential area there, commercial against residential. But we have added that also as a condition. Either option is open. If they're going to extend the fence, we'd like to see that on a plan. If they're going to raise the height of the landscaping, we'll require that to be shown on a landscape sheet. Also, with regards to, this was shown on the other site plan, that alley that runs parallel to 512 behind those lots does not have a formal stormwater plan for the stormwater from those back sites. A lot of those sites, the existing commercial sites along 512, their site plans had, usually their stormwater was in the rear, or there was some, they addressed the stormwater before it got to the alley. We need to be a little bit more proactive on making sure that those stormwater areas are being maintained. But for this particular site, right at the corner of the alley and Melrose, there is a catch basin that collects water in that area. And so based on our stormwater and engineering department's review of this, and this was required in the 2019 plan, on the south side of the alley, they would like some sort of little swale, that the water will sheet across the alley, get to that swale. That swale will take the water right into that catch basin, which then goes somewhere into that master stormwater drainage for that area. We're adding another lot. At this point, they really didn't have how deep that swale would be. They're requesting that when they get to the construction of this, they would like stormwater staff to meet the contractor out there, and they can assess on how deep or wide they need that swale on the south side. And we have had that note added onto the site plan regarding that, but we also are recommending that as a condition of approval. So that being said, staff feels that this site plan meets all of the requirements of the Land Development Code, the comp plan, and the 512 overlay district. Staff is recommending approval with the 6 conditions that are listed on page 7 and 8. I apologize, the last condition was the site plan does show lighting. There are 3 additional light poles that they're going to add. We did not have a plan or any information on the type of light poles and fixtures. It's in an overlay district. They're required to be decorative. So we're requesting that before they're installed, that they would bring us some sort of cut sheet on those light poles, and staff could approve them as long as they're not just concrete and your lumen pole. So in summary, the six conditions are the engineer provide us a copy of the 10-2 exemption certificate and contact the city engineer for that swale along the alley. The gopher tortoise information we have is over 90 days. It's required to be less than 90 days for us to issue a new land clearing permit. Approval by city council of the abandonment of easements, the split rail fence extended, the opaque buffer extended along lots 2, 3, and 4, and approval of the light fixtures before they are installed. Thank you.
All in one breath.
Yes. Dory talks fast when there's a lot to get out, so I apologize.
I know. Thank you very much, Dory. Okay, commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant or staff?
I have one, I guess, question, if I may. I know there's an additional parking that's being planned for here, but I'm still concerned, as you may not know, they do a lot of takeout business. And many times when I go there to pick up food, you can't find a place to park. And I know there's going to be additional parking, so that's my only concern. I'm hoping that we do have parking that's adequate to accommodate that as well.
So one of the things we worked with on the engineer was from the new parking lot, from the new parking area, we wanted to make sure that it was easy enough to access into the restaurant without having to walk through the existing parking to the front and to the front entrance. And so there is going to be a door added in that outside seating area, which will be, there'll be steps up to this pergola area, but through that area you can go right from that parking lot into the restaurant, get your takeout order, and you'll be able to walk right back out to the parking area.
You don't have to go around the building. And
correct, yes.
Or, because see, what he's trying to, and I can understand, is people, even though you have that parking, you know how people are, oh, I'm just gonna go in and out. Boom, and they park right still on the road, and then we approved all this parking back there. and, you know, it's only for sit-down, and that doesn't have too much of a sit-down in there.
So, we're always happy when our businesses
know?
are successful.
Yes.
And the Taco Mobile has been very successful, and the parking has been an issue, that the city has put up no parking signs on Melrose.
Yes,
And,
I pass by there every
And I think
day.
they're trying to be a little bit, you know, enforcing that too. So hopefully with the new parking, we'll get all of that.
Yeah, 'cause that's
taken
another
care of.
thing, 'cause they will, you know, for the sake of, oh, it's a takeout, come in and out, and they'll keep on and using that main road there, blocking and stuff, and then they will forget about that, but, because you're not expanding the actual restaurant, I mean, just,
Kitchen expansion. I believe
the
there's a
kitchen. Oh,
kitchen
okay,
expansion for them, but not the actual seating area, correct?
all right. Sorry that I piggybacked there, Mr. President.
But I do applaud their success, because I enjoy their food. Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
And just to follow up, I just want to remind the board, so we thought about that too, and of course, we want business to be successful, and sometimes the codes are too much parking, sometimes they're too little parking, but we are going to we're providing 7 more spaces than what's required for restaurants, which I think will help kick in on some of that takeout traffic. So, you know, we have every expectation that that area is going to stay contained in the new parking lots. I mean, that's the primary objective.
On that
of
note,
this
now there's
project.
something, if you could designate maybe those parkings, and you know, up there, just for takeout, maybe there's something to consider, you know, just take out, because then what people will do is just park there.
I don't want to speak for the owner, but I don't see why he wouldn't be
Well,
receptive.
something to that effect, because-
There's 7 additional over what's required by the site plan, and.
Right, but
it'd
something
be
to
very
say, you know,
easy to
take
take-
out park,
to-
you know, take out
to-
only.
Yeah, designate a couple of them as takeout spaces.
Right, that way,
That
they
only
know
event-
it's just in and out.
It benefits the efficiency of his business.
Exactly.
So it's an excellent
Okay.
suggestion.
Thank
I'll
you.
definitely let the owner know.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, so along the same lines of parking, I mean, I think it's great that you guys are looking at adding parking here. I think it's much needed. I guess my one question or concern would be, I know that a lot of times the people going during lunchtime usually have large trailers and landscape beds and a lot of equipment that they come and park along the street there. I guess, was there any discussion or, you know, talk about how to serve those customers? Because, you know, the site plan looks great, and I think you meet code, and that's great, but I think from a standpoint of the types of vehicles that come and
Right.
here, it's
No,
gonna
and
be
I agree,
challenging.
you do get trucks that come in with the trailers and all that, and then, you know, being such a small lot, there's only so much you can do. But there was a little bit of consideration into that, so, the 2 things that we were looking at was the 2 parking spaces that are on the south side of the existing building. So that there's a big slab behind the building there, and we basically have 2 parking spaces that are really long. So a truck could pull in there with a trailer and hopefully stay off the road. I mean, obviously, we can't stand out there and force it. But we do have those 2 really long spaces there. And then the whole flow of the one-way circulation through the parking lot. So if somebody big did come in and he realizes, hey, these are parking spaces for cars, I can't just park here in the drive aisle, he'll be able to do one-way circulation back out onto the alley, and then hopefully there'll be available spaces for a larger vehicle available on the south side of the building in that small, that area is actually existing, it has a dumpster in it right now.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
taking the dumpster out, that's being moved, and it's basically gonna create, 2 large
Okay.
truck-type spaces and 2 motorcycle spaces.
And I want to point out, though, for those spaces, those are grandfathered in spaces, because the current code would not allow you to back out onto the street unless it was public parking, and this is private parking, but that's part of that Lot 1 that's grandfathered in from that 1996 site plan.
Yeah, so I think that's great that you guys are, you know, considering and providing a space for those larger vehicles with trailers. But I think to your note about signage, that I feel like is even a bigger, whenever I go, my personal, you know, notice that I see a lot of trailers there. I think maybe that is a consideration for signage potentially, like in that area.
The signs, well, signs are still there, they're up there.
No, I mean for like designated spaces.
Oh,
For
gotcha.
trailers.
Those,
don't
the
know.
the spaces that are south of the building?
Yeah,
Existing to
yeah.
mark those as for truck parking?
Yeah, I think that may be, and maybe, you know, folks that go there often will, over time, know that that's where they go to park, but,
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, you can't, they're not gonna be able to turn 90 degrees into the parking spaces that are in the internal parking lot, not with a trailer on the back. So they're not gonna have any choice. They're not gonna be able to just leave their vehicle there in the drive aisle. They're gonna be forced to go back on out.
I guess
Well-
I could just see them maybe taking up like 6 or 7 in a row, like pulling into them and then parking, do you know what I mean? Like,
I would hope that
In a
they're
way.
doing such
I would
good
hope
that
they
they won't
don't,
be
yeah.
available. Because
Yeah.
they do a good business, you know, during lunchtime but your point is taken. I mean, I know that's usually when, you know, they do have a busy lunch hour and you have a lot of the working, the landscapers and stuff that have U-Hauls and things like that on the back. We do the best we can with what we got.
All right. Any other questions, Commissioner?
I have none.
Okay, great. So we're gonna open up the floor for anyone in favor. Seeing none. Open the floor for anyone opposing this project.
Nobody on Zoom?
Seeing none. Okay, moving right along. All right, so the application, okay, so staff, please summarize, your
It's the same as
application.
before, what staff recommends with the conditions noted. And of course, from your discussion, through your motion, if there's any additional conditions that you would like to add, that would be at that time, would be appropriate.
Yeah, okay, great. So, I have no further questions, and Commissioners, any other final questions?
I'd just like to make a comment.
Please do.
I'm happy to see that you're going to be switching over to municipal sewer. That's a big improvement. And the blessing is they're really fast on service there, so maybe the trucks and trailers won't be there very long.
No, they are fast.
One of my favorite places in town.
Yeah.
Zip in, zip out, less than 5 minutes, boom, got it. Glad you're doing so well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So we call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the site plan modification for the Taco Mobile Restaurant, small building addition, additional parking and outside seating at 825 Sebastian Boulevard, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, block 188, Sebastian Highlands, Unit 6, with the 6 staff recommendations to be included in the motion.
Second.
Ms. Kitchen, second. Ms. Grant? Okay. All in favor? Or do we have roll call? I'm sorry. Missed that one.
Ms. Kinchin.
Yes.
Ms. Battles.
yes.
Ms. Cottenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Lucier.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez.
Yes.
Ms. Jordan.
Yes.
Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good
Thank
luck.
you, sir. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along. Unfinished business, seeing none. New business, seeing none.
Chairman, I'm sorry, and I guess
I'm
I should have
sorry.
done it under announcements. I did just want to let you know that the flume, the request for the future land use for the annexation for Graves Brothers has been advertised and will be heard by City Council next Wednesday, October 12th. It is on their agenda, in case you wanted to
October
watch or
12th.
come. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We're adjourned.